Oleksandr Usyk has released a sound that contains a troubling discussion between John Rage Tyson fierceness and the ref of the night imprint Nelson, however much they would have rather not sounded implicating in the tape. It's presently accepted that the discussion was the explanation for the sad administering in the 10th round that forestalled Usyk from a knockout triumph. It's going to get more insane battle for the fans, you realize. I generally express it's tied in with getting compensated and getting laid on. And we did that this evening. I say thanks to Alexander for the great battle. It was a nearby battle, I accepted like I figured. I did what's necessary, yet I'm not an adjudicator. There's not really any questionable bout any longer, as pretty much every significant fight has had a few scribbles of discussion around them. And surprisingly, in the greatest battle of the century, a battle that was the first of its sort since the 21st century started, the rest choices brought up innumerable issues among boxing experts and allies. Well, as you would expect, the ref imprint Nelson experienced harsh criticism for. In all honesty, the prevailing snapshots of Oleksandr Usyk in the 10th round I was extremely vexed on the 10th round when the thump down yes. And afterward the count was incredibly sluggish, exceptionally sluggish, promptly Oleksandr Usyk. And his colleagues started posing inquiries from the ring and keeping in mind that many felt they were okay with the success Usyk and his group have made a stride further by getting a sound tape of Tyson anger and John fierceness. You're purportedly having a conversation with imprint Nelson, looking for his approval in the ring. And to the awe of all, imprint Nelson conveyed in the 10th round Usyk flooded in the last adjusts similarly as the Olympic gold medalist has done so often in his vocation, taking control with a predominant eighth and almost halting wrath in the 10th Usyk hurt the 6'9" Wrath, who currently has 34 successes, a draw, and a misfortune in 36 battles with a left hand, and ultimately sent him rambling into a corner in the last seconds of the round, getting credit for a knockdown just before Rage was bailed out by luck. Yet, with the revelation of the tape by Oleksandr Usyk, it wasn't simply the chime that saved Tyson Rage. As a matter of fact, the ref was his primary rescuer before the ringer's mediation. And when the battle was over, Oleksandr Usyk's advertiser, Alexander Kruk, guaranteed the triumph ought to have come sooner than it did, as the battle didn't need to go past the 10th round. Of anger was saved by the ref ropes. And afterward the Ranger, after a whirlwind of punches from Usyk, nearly sent him to the material. I am totally worn out. I was cheering in sponsorship Usyk the entire battle, no lack of regard to the ref. Yet he took the KO. That is my perspective. It was a colossal presentation, cross-yuck, expressed following the battle during the in-ring interview, yet ref has taken his triumph. What do you mean he needed to stop the battle in the 10th? Do you accept Tyson was ought to have been halted? Then yes, Usyk anyway did what's necessary toward the finish of 12 rounds to procure a split-choice triumph. Yet that didn't prevent his advertiser from submitting his questions. Truth be told, it was reputed that his advertiser had been the one to put forth the attempts to figure out what was off-putting about the Rages and ref imprint Nelson. And as per the news doing the rounds, he was the person who gave the tape over to Oleksandr Usyk. And deciding from the substance of the tape, the Wraths and imprint Nelson would have an enormous case to settle with the boxing specialists, as everything was finished to lean toward Tyson Rage. In the battle, truth be told, Tyson was so certain of the payoff favors, he got that he became qualified for the success. And when he didn't get the success he needed to pin it on Usyk's ethnicity, Tyson Wrath seemed to guarantee in the ring that he lost his confrontation with Oleksandr Usyk, in light of the fact that the adjudicators agreed with the Ukrainian over the conflict in Ukraine. And later at the news gathering, Wrath batted the inquiry off, while Fierceness addressed a stuffed press room. Usyk was taken to clinic for a prudent x-ray examen, actually typical after ruthless battles, and went to the meeting an hour after the fact. Fierceness clarified, it's not up for us. The adjudicators pursue the choice. I can't say anything negative, I figured. I did what's necessary to win yet. It's one misfortune in an exceptionally close battle. I made an honest effort. I appreciated it. He got me. I captured him. I thought he scratched one of the initial 6 rounds, talking in the ring. Subsequently, Hanger had said, I accept I won that battle. I accept he won a couple of the rounds, yet I won most of them. And I accept it might you at any point to one of their choices. In boxing, we both put on a decent battle, best we could do. And you know his country's at war, so individuals are favoring a country at war. Yet commit no error. I've won that battle as I would see it. And I'll be back. We have a rematch statement. Did what's necessary, yet you know, I'm not an appointed authority. I can't pass judgment on your battle. While I'm boxing it, you know, whether they would have shared with me in the last round, or anything you're down, go out and attempt to complete him. I would have done that, yet we accept everybody in the corner. Accepted we were up, you realize, all I needed to do was continue boxing. And doing what was in opposition to considerations most unsentimental fans that watched the battle scored a draw best case scenario. For Tyson Rage, with the exception of the appointed authority, who was obviously having an off day, that scored the battle for Tyson Rage, and forestalled Oleksandr Usyk from getting a consistent choice success. One boxing proficient had not just detected something off-putting between Imprint Nelson and Tyson Fierceness, yet additionally asserted Tyson Fierceness' disposition in the battle appears to be such a lot of like that of a victor. How might you be content with the scorecards today? Unimaginable. What did you score, Alex? 75 least. You feel burglarized. You feel looted. It was what it was. You can't cry over it. Can you, D? How are you? No doubt. I'm oak, mate. Better believe it. I thought it was close. Well, with the spilled sound, we presently realize he had a second man in the ring battling in support of himself, which was the purpose for his pomposity. Lennox Lewis condemned Tyson Rath's blueprint against Oleksandr Usyk. After the England experienced a split-choice misfortune to the Ukrainian Usyk, organized a late rebound to edge the battle, and Legend Lewis, the last undisputed boss before Saturday's challenge, said Fierceness got his strategies wrong. Fierceness was boxing. Like he won the battle. Lewis said on air no fighter can pass judgment and say they won the battle. Each time a round was close they ought to see it like a misfortune. Lennox Lewis said watch it back on tape, and I'll give you my viewpoint. Don't stress. I will give you your thought process on the night. That could be different on thought it was an extraordinary battle. I considered the two them battled great. I thought Tyson was driving the way. And afterward he got captured. You realize his hands was well going into the battle. Imprint Nelson was selected attributable to his experience and numerous licenses. He's authorized by the World Boxing Affiliation, World Boxing Association, and Worldwide Confining League, having administered more than 100 world title battles anyway. Once he stepped on the material on the day, he put on an active disgrace, a humiliation to the universe of boxing, as many would call it. Then he got captured. You realize his hands was down. Then I was clear after that from the whole tape. John Rath was the one doing a large portion of the talking, as it happened a couple of days before